All right, in this video, we're going to be talking about intro to statistical bias and variability. So experimental studies can suffer from non-representative samples and undercoverage, as discussed in the last lesson. Often these problems cannot be fixed due to different reasons, whether it be you not being able to control volunteers or not being able to control the type of people that you're asking. So what are some reasons for deliberately using a non-representative sample in an experimental study, and what problems could result? So typically human experiments are done using volunteers, and it's never possible to take a random sample of the population of interest and force them to participate. So you can't make, hey, I want to ask these types of people this question. And make them participate. Chances are they might say, no, I'm not interested in helping out. So we could say human experiments are done using volunteers. And we could say it's never possible to take a random sample of the population and force them to participate. Okay. Now, rather than spending a great deal of time and money to ensure a representative sample, researchers often use the techniques listed below to try and eliminate any statistical bias introduced in the sampling method. And they want us to discuss how each method can reduce sampling bias and thus increase the accuracy of a study's results. And so we have a list here of a few different ways to eliminate bias. So we've got random assignment of treatments, blind or double-blind studies, use of control groups, and replication. Now, random assignment of treatments, this helps ensure that the treatment and control groups are similar, so if different outcomes are detected, it's due to the treatment. So we can say this helps ensure that the treatment and control groups are similar, so if different outcomes are detected, is due to the treatment. So whenever we're running an experiment, we will have at least two groups. One group will be the control group, so everything is the same for them. And then another group is the treatment group. So everything's the same except one thing, which is the treatment. So if we make sure that each of those two groups are similar, then we can say, okay, the only thing different between these two groups is one has the treatment and one does not. So if there is a difference, we know that it is the treatment that is the cause. Now, blind and double-blind studies. Here, I'm going to change color just so that way we have different colors on here. But blind and double-blind studies, so you've heard these before. Blind and double-blind just means that either just the participants are blind, meaning they don't know what's going on, or maybe even double-blind, where the participants and the researchers are blind, so they don't know either. Basically, these ensure more accurate reports. Okay. Patients can sometimes inaccurately report on their improvement. So if they were blind, they wouldn't know, okay, am I the control group or am I the treatment group? And if they don't know, then that is beneficial to the researchers, because that way they're not being influenced by whether they have a placebo or whether they have the actual treatment. Now, use of control groups. This is important because if you don't have a control group, you don't know how much the treatment is affecting those people. So we can just say this is related to the first two techniques. Okay. And improves result accuracy. Now, randomly assigning participants to receive a fake treatment helps control the placebo effect. So I'm just going to write helps control placebo effect. And then the last one, replication. So you might do an experiment one time, and that's great, but can you get the same results or similar results again and again and again? If you can get them multiple times in a row, then it gives you as a researcher confidence in knowing, okay, this keeps happening, so we're onto something here. We should say that this is actually the case. This is not just random chance that it happened one time. So I'm just going to say running a study again with a new sample. That yields similar results makes the researchers more confident. Now, some of the same issues, such as non-representative samples, undercoverage, and replication, affect observational studies. Other issues discussed, such as response bias and wording of questions, can also specifically affect these. Now, what they want us to do is they want us to find what could be wrong or what problem could be occurring in each of these studies. So we want to read this study and then figure out, okay, why is this bad? What's going on here that's wrong? So the first one is Jade is so tired of sales calls that she refuses to answer the phone if she does not recognize the name or number on the caller ID. And I agree with Jade. I usually do that too. So this is an example of a poor sample, okay? And the reason is because she's biased. So anytime she sees the phone, if she doesn't know who it is, she's not answering it. So I'm just going to say this is a result of response bias. And then another thing it could be is that or being a non-representative sample. B says Serena knows that the caller will probably keep calling, so she answers the phone. If the call's subject is an opinion poll, she politely tells the surveyor that she does not want to participate. So this is just another example of a non-response in the sample. Okay, so they call someone and they just hang up or say no thank you and then hang up. It's a non-response. So this we go. This is an example of a non-response. Part C says, Deshaun does not worry about sales calls since his family uses cell phones and no longer has a landline. This one is actually, let me see if I can, actually this is a PDF, so I can't do anything. So this is an example of, since households that don't have a landline and can't be surveyed by the phone, this is what's an example of under coverage. So you're unable to even reach this person. So this one, we can say this is an example of under coverage. Okay. D says, at the mall, an older man is interviewing people about their consumer spending habits. Maria does not want to tell him that she just bought a swimsuit, so she says that her shopping bag contains a new shirt. So this is an example of a response bias. She doesn't want to give away certain information, so she lies as a response. So this one's just going to be another response bias. E says, Mrs. Gibbs normally gets a hamburger for lunch when she notices that someone who looks like a nurse is sitting at the corner writing down what each person orders. Mrs. Gibbs orders a salad with fat-free dressing. So instead of ordering what she normally gets, she gets something on the healthier side. So this is what's called the observer effect. You know how whenever you're in a classroom and you're going through a lesson and then an admin walks in, and then all of a sudden you're going, oh shoot, I should probably pay attention more so I don't get in trouble. That's a response bias. You don't want to get in trouble with the admin just by sitting in your chair not paying attention. So this is what's called an observer effect. She acts differently because she is being observed. All right. F, it says a local television station runs a viewer poll on the nightly news. Call us or log on to our website to give your opinion about the new skate park. So this one isn't really a research study because it's not scientifically valid. Anybody can go on there, and it's completely voluntary. And the problem with this is that chances are most people that answer this website or call them are people who have very strong opinions one way or the other. So someone who absolutely loves the skate park is going to call in. Someone who absolutely hates is going to call in. Somebody who has really no opinion about it is just going to leave it alone. They're not going to call or go on the website. So we're going to say voluntary and only people with strong opinions will answer. All right, so number 4 says several television shows have a survey component in which viewers call in and vote for their favorite singer, dancer, entertainer, or competitor. It says discuss the issues you perceive with this method. So anytime you ever see these, you know how whenever they have the Atlanta, or it might be the entire state of Georgia, they have Athlete of the Week or Athlete of the Month. You can vote more than once. So I cannot remember which teacher it was. Someone had a cousin of or something like that, or a niece or an aunt, or a niece or nephew that was on that list, and he said, hey, go vote. And so we could vote multiple times. And you could see these polls going up and up and up, and thousands of people have voted, when in reality, there's maybe only like 20 or 30 people voting, but they're voting multiple times. So a downside of this is that people can vote more than once. Now, number 5 says, some shows have viewers vote for the contestant whom they want to leave the show. Discuss the issues you perceive with this method. And this is basically many of the same issues above. So many of the same issues above. All right, so people can vote more than once. And some people vote strategically. So I'm going to say strategic voting. Rather than voting for the worst, they vote to eliminate a strong person to help their favorite. So may vote for strongest contestant. To help their favorite. So if they know their favorite contestant is about to get voted out, they might vote for the strongest to try and throw it off and help the person that they actually want to win.